shake your booties for black girl nerds.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Black Girl Nerds Talks. I am Shenee.
I'm Liz, the movie girl. Hey
Hello
guys.
everybody, and today we are here to talk about Wonder Woman. The latest Wonder Woman. The latest offering from DC, and I figured we'll just do overall impressions first. So Liz, you start. What did you think of Wonder Woman?
It was great. It was really good.
Yeah.
I left the movie and I was like, oh my god, I actually enjoyed it. Like, I really liked that movie.
Yeah.
Who thought that could happen?
Yeah. Right? So, okay, so those are your overall impressions. I agree.
Well, yeah, I had more thoughts, but I thought,
yeah, we'll do overall. I really enjoyed it too. I was like actually surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Like, I really lived. Like, my theater was so hype. We were so hype. We were like, people were like standing up.
Thing. Mine was not. I was in a dead quiet theater, and I still had a good time with it.
Yeah, no, we were like, like we were. All
I want to see it again
hyped.
with like a more energized crowd because
it
was good.
And that's not really typical for LA crowds. Like, we're usually pretty like I only usually, I think I've talked about this on the show before, that when I'm in Grayson, Georgia, we're super live. We're like, yeah, like even in like the worst movies, like we'll be in Transformer, like, ah! But like, we were super hyped for this movie, and it was like really fun to watch it. And I saw it in 3D, which I haven't seen a 3D movie in years. Like, not since this last wave of 3D movies have I seen anything in 3D. I think I mentioned on the show that we were supposed to see Star Wars in 3D and it didn't work, so we had to like move. Anyway, so I thought, well, we'll talk more about that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I guess now we can sort of talk about sort of our deeper thoughts and feelings and likes and dislikes and all that stuff. So yeah. Do you want to start us off with your in-depth likes?
So this movie is absolutely gorgeous. Like, I mean, already you could see it in the trailers, but the mascara, it's beautiful. And it really feels like you really believe that it's a paradise. And that was just the whole, and the way that it's introduced, the sequence of it, it's beautiful. And I absolutely loved it. And I also love that it gets you into the action right away. Like, you're not waiting.
I was living for that
You're not waiting.
Yeah.
You're not waiting. And the Amazons, they're badass. They're just like fighting. And it's just, I think a couple of times in this movie, I got chills, like, just cause it's like, oh man. And it reminded me a lot of Xena, which I like really realized, like, that Xena was like, what, 15, 20 years ago,
Over
since that's been on TV. So I really had like such a good feeling. I loved that. It was a great origin story. Didn't drown on and on about like where she comes from and it just wasn't like mopey. It was like she just had like I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, great origin story, great action scenes. The action is just well shot, and they don't like kind of gyp you on the scenes or like kind of like make you feel like you're getting ripped off, and that sometimes like they'll like do like really fast cuts and you don't get to really see the full scenes of stuff. So that was really great. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna just jump off of that a little bit, and then you can keep going about the fighting scenes. So when we talk about sort of like what is going to distinguish DC from Marvel, I felt like we finally got that in the action scenes, because they're shot a lot differently than the Marvel scenes. Like, the Marvel scenes are very like fast and they're very like whatever, but like Patty lingered. Like, everything, you could feel every move, like every swing, like the way that she sort of move with the camera. And I don't know if anybody's watching is familiar with the DC comics or even the DC cartoons, it's very DC. And so it's nice to see them assert themselves in this way of like really like strongly being like, okay, this is what's really different about these movies to this movie, because the action could have been very much like Captain America-y, because they have sort of kind of similar like super strength and agility powers, and especially with the because they both have the shield. But they used it completely differently, so it was like really cool to see them really distinguish themselves in that way. So yeah, but keep going. I wanted to just like point that out.
No, and I'll piggyback off of what you're saying, because one thing I noticed right away was this felt like a DC film. Yes. It did not feel like it was them trying to be more like Marvel.
They still honored Zack, right? Like Zack Snyder was still there, which I really liked, because, you know, we all like get rid of him, but there's something that he was trying to do that Patty really picked up and like was like, okay, I get you, Zack. Like I'm gonna keep that going.
I mean, we've said it before where we're like, maybe he shouldn't be the one directing these movies. Yeah. Maybe he should give like more of like a palette template for what people should do. Yeah, and totally I mean, it's not that he doesn't have the right. Maybe I don't know what that should look like, but it's not all bad. It's just it's not good at putting stories together like that. It's just like he does too much. But I mean, I keep saying I really enjoyed it. I really did have a good time with this movie. And yeah, that was one big thing, is that it felt like a DC film. It felt like this was a movie where I feel like this genuinely liked the character that it was portraying.
Yes.
Like where Superman, I feel like that's one thing where whoever is doing Superman doesn't like Superman and he just feels mopey and hates everything. No. Where Patty feels like she loves Wonder Woman and really wanted to bring that to light in a good way. So and she did. I think she did.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I'll just introduce some new stuff since you went over that stuff as far as like what I loved about it. So what I really liked is that for me, it was one of the first movies that was really about something actually about something. Like I didn't realize until I was watching it. And I was thinking about the other movies, it's like none of them are really about anything. Like the only movie that has really kind of attempted to be about something was this last Guardians movie, and I don't know how successful it was at sort of getting there. But this movie was very clear about what it was saying about society, what it was saying about everything in general. It was just like very focused, and it's like, and it made everything more resonant. And like, I know that people, like, there are some little things that I would change about the movie. I guess we'll talk about that in a little bit. And they're, you know, it's not perfect. But what ends up, and I had a discussion about this with somebody last night, was that what ends up making the movie ending up being an overall good experience, and how all these action movies or any of these movies can learn from, is because you have an emotional connection to the material. So even if everything's not perfect, because there's sort of this emotional through line and this actual emotional journey that the characters are going on, it makes it so that your overall experience of the movie is good. So that's what I feel like was amazing. So that, like, you know, there was quibbles about it, but like you left and you were just like, I was just so shook. Like I was like, what do I do now? Like, where do I go? Like we all came out the theater. We're like, what now? Like what? Because it's just like, it was just so like emotionally like, it's kind of like, it was almost like the experience you have when it reminds me of like, I don't know where you are on Lord of the Rings, but like a very Lord of the Rings type feeling, like very like these more emotional like war films, like these films that really like take you through it. Like I feel like this movie had that same feeling. So I thought that was what is a real strength of the movie, is that Patty managed to really get there emotionally. To where you really felt it. And then also, like, there's an argument late in the film. I don't know. Are we going to make this spoilers? Yes.
Yeah, I would say.
I was like, yes. There's a discussion with the two of them later on where they're arguing like a couple would, where he's like, well, she's like, why is this? And he's like, I don't know. And it just felt so, like, authentic and real. And she was trying to, like, and they were like, you know what happens when two people's value systems like come come up against each other, and a really authentic view of what that looks like when it's like, we both really love each other, we both respect each other, but we don't agree on this. And it was really, I just thought it was really beautiful, because he was just like, Steve Trevor was just like, I have to go, like, I just, like, have to go, like, we're not going to agree on this, I still love you, and whatever, and I'm just going to go. And I thought that was, like, and there was pieces of that throughout the film where you had, like, conversations that actually felt real, and interactions that felt like they would happen between these people who felt these things. And the two characters, like Gal Gadot and Chris Pine, were amazing together, and the chemistry was amazing, and you totally bought their relationship, and they're really good at, because, and I don't know, this is controversial, but I think this is what happens when a woman directs it, is like, you just have it to where, there was just like a back and forth between them. Like, she wasn't the one who was always right and always amazing. He wasn't always right and always amazing. They were always sort of like sharing the emotional and even the fighting load. Like, there was parts where he came to save her, vice versa. And I felt like that was really pretty, because I think that, especially with, feminism and stuff like that, it's like everybody kind of takes this, whenever they try to integrate a relationship in this movie, it ends up being where the woman is sort of does no wrong, is good at everything, and is completely unrelatable, or the man is just sort of this domineering, sort of underlying misogyny or whatever, and you didn't get any of that. They were just like partners and equals, and they respected each other and got each other's contributions. So I thought that was amazing as well. Let's see, what else? Did you want to jump on that at all? Because I feel like I've been talking.
Yeah, well, I just want to talk more about some of the characters that I really liked and would like to have maybe seen more of. So the Amazons in general, I really liked that.
I want that movie. I want an Amazons movie. Yeah.
Robin Wright, she played Antiope.
Yes.
And she was my heart.
She was like, I'm in this film for 15 minutes, but you're not going to forget. Like,
you will not forget me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was great. Hippolyta, the woman who played her mom, was great.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have maybe seen a little bit more personality or characteristics from the different Amazons. They kind of all seemed very one note. But that's not a huge gripe for me, because this story was focused. This story had a clear mission and goal, and everything outside of that was like, nice little pieces to add, but it wasn't something that could take over, which I feel like, especially in Marvel movies now, a lot of side characters tend to take over the film and just get too much of a role. Like, the side character will become something that's like the big emotional force, when it should be your main character that's the emotional driving force of the movie. And I feel like that might be what you were saying about Guardians, that didn't succeed as much in doing that, where it felt like a side character had all of the emotional weight, where you need to feel the emotional weight for Wonder Woman. And I feel at the end that, especially the ending scene, like, because one thing that this movie does, and, we said we're doing spoilers, so spoilers, I love that it wasn't some portal in the sky. It was just like this boss fight at the end. Like, when I say that I wanted to, like, jump out of my seat, like, watching them fight, because this was what you saw this in Batman v Superman, because the fight scenes in that were amazing. It just made no sense when we were watching it, where you knew what was going on, like, and it, like, the fight escalates and it gets bigger, and you just even see how much of a goddess that she is as you're watching her fight. So that was amazing to me. And yeah, so I think, but one thing I will say about the fight scenes that I feel like it's like a small, like, maybe a dislike, is as much as I like the scenes and as much as I like that they lingered, I felt like they used slow-mo a little too much. Like, I wish they would have pulled back just a little bit. Like, can you, like, maybe have, like, a little less slow motion scenes? And yeah, so that was something. I don't know. How did you feel about that? Maybe.
Yeah, well, I guess we can go through some of, like, our little quibbles. Like, I have just, like, tiny quibbles.
Yeah,
tiny quibbles, because, I do feel like, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to feel the next time I see it. Like I said, I reacted so strongly and so positively, but that's because like I really wanted this movie to be really good. I suspect that it's very good and that it is really good, that I think, but there are definitely little things that I feel like, but God, like what a jump! Like what a jump from like Batman v Superman to Wonder Woman
to this,
like. You just have to, like, sometimes you have to, like, recognize progress.
Right. I mean, you have to recognize, like, everything that people have been complaining about, they touched on it without seeming like it's trying to be something that it's not. And you have to say that this is what this movie did.
What I loved about this movie is that my fear, and I still fear this for Justice League, but we will see, but my fear was that they were going to take all of this information and turn into a Marvel movie. This did not feel anything like anything Marvel would ever create.
No.
Ever. And that's what I was so proud of, because I was like, it would have been so easy for them to like throw a bunch of like very Marvel-esque jokes. The jokes were not very Marvel. They were all very centered and focused on the characters and felt like the characters and stuff like that. And I don't know, like I just felt like they really were like, this is our identity as a movie. And we saw little bits of this in Suicide Squad. Like Suicide Squad, we bring Suicide Squad into every, well, I'm not going to go talk about it, but like Suicide Squad had like pieces of them asserting their identity, like the costume design, because you saw the costume design here too, which was really strong, and like the little characters, like they were like, okay, we know kind of what we want to do, and like we know kind of what our style. But Wonder Woman was finally like, okay, we're here. This is our style. This is kind of what we do, and so I just was so proud of that, because they could have easily been like, we're just gonna be like super silly and fun and whatever, and be like Marvel. So I guess so I'll talk a little bit about my quibbles about the movie. So I think I do have like a quibble about the end. Like I liked the big boss fight too, but I thought that it was like a little like confusing at the end. Like I was like, wait, what's happening? Like, what are we doing? Even though I was living, I was like, I love all this, but I'm not sure what's happening. So I thought that could have been a little smoother. I thought it could have been a little longer. I felt like it started to drag a little bit, especially after the big thing happens and I lose my beloved from the film and, the plane for Chris Pine, which Liz won't claim. She's like, I just support him.
I just want to say, like, how I feel like, I mean, I've been saying that Chris Pine is great. I've been saying it. I won't claim that I'm in love with him, but I have been saying. And so I just feel like this movie, like, justifies it a little bit, but it's fine.
Like I said, like, I have always appreciated Chris Pine, but and I think we've talked about this when we've had discussions about Chris Pine, I suspect that he's not a leading dude. Like, he's just not a leading man. He doesn't have it. But this is what he's good at, like a strong, supportive role. And so I really liked him in this film, and I haven't liked him in a lot of other stuff, but I really liked him.
You don't like him in Star Trek?
I think I do like him in Star Trek.
Yeah.
But, like, there's other things that I don't like him in. But
well, Hell or High Water is a really good film, and he's really good in that.
Character.
But he's a supporting.
So
you're right.
So that would be my if I was his agent, I'd be like, just put him in, like, bomb supportive roles, because he's really good at backing people up. In all the films, he's just really great at, even in Star Trek, he's really good at letting all the characters shine around him, which a lot of people are not able to do. So when that happened, I felt like the movie should have kind of like come down, but there was so much after that we didn't need. And so that kind of arc to it, I didn't like as much. I was like, this is getting kind of confusing. I thought towards the middle, there was like middle parts where it got a little slow, like a little slower. I was like, okay, well, I'm like enjoying this, but I could see this not like, connecting with me as much if I'm like watching it at home or whatever. So I think it could have used maybe one more action scene in the middle somewhere just to sort of like kick things off. But I think those were like my only quibbles, is probably just like minor story stuff when things could have been a little tighter and a little closer and tightly wrapped, just like the story could have been a little tighter in spots, but because the emotional stuff and because I bought everything else, it didn't really bother me that much. But just from a critical perspective, I felt like there were little things with the story that could have made it even better. So what were your sort of quibbles?
So there are these side characters that I thought were a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess when people see the movie, they might see what I'm talking about. There's just like some weird kind of like stereotypy type things going on with that. It's still well acted, so there's that, but I felt like there was not necessarily a need to kind of frame it the way that they did. The way that they framed the characters kind of seemed very stereotyped, like they were kind of stereotypes. But other than that, but they still, I feel like that's still pretty minor. I felt like there were some jokes that didn't land, and specifically when they were talking, I kind of felt like the movie like just stops and says like, "Oh, she's a woman. We have to remind you that she's a woman, so we have to do this joke." And I just felt like it kind of went on a little too long and just was unnecessary. But again, these are like small things. This is like me like reaching for stuff. So yeah, that. And I already said the slow motion thing, so yeah.
How do you feel like, I guess to wrap it up, like how do you feel like this ranks from like all superhero
DC
movies?
All superhero movies?
Yeah. Because obviously the DC is pretty obvious. Well, I mean, you could compare it to the
okay, let's say like more of the modern superhero movies?
Yeah. In the last 10
because like
years.
If we're going the old Superman forever, for example, like that's like, Superman. I can't. That's always number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what's considered modern? Like Dark Knight?
I would say
like Batman.
Dark Knight, Batman, Iron Man, all those films. Because for me, I feel like I've already talked about in the last couple reviews how I've had some problems with the last year or two of Marvel movies. So I feel like for me, it's up there with Iron Man for me. Like I liked Iron Man. I think Winter Soldier and this would probably be my favorites in this modern era. But that's like not including the Batman movies.
Okay. Yeah, let's just leave the Batman movies out.
Yeah, because they're their own thing. They don't even feel like these types of movies.
Yeah, they're like their own thing.
Yeah.
So Iron Man, I think, kind of set the tone. Yeah. And there's a lot of things in this Wonder Woman movie that are very reminiscent of it.
Feels very Iron Man one.
Yeah, even though it like I said, it feels like a DC movie. Iron Man was about something.
Yes.
Again, like that was something, and it's kind of a similar types of conversation. So yeah, Iron Man, this one, maybe top 5 of the modern ones. Winter Soldier.
I would say, because what is your ranking? I guess this could be anher video.
Maybe we'll do that. If tell us in the comments if you would like us to maybe do a ranking of how we feel. Would be
one of my top 3.
Yeah, I think this is top. I want to go re-see it, maybe with a more fun crowd. People are excited about it.
Yeah, because I think that's what really did it for me. Because we were just all living. We're like, yes. Like everybody, literally, everybody was just prayer hands up. We're like, yes, go. But it was fun because there was also Atomic Blonde was a preview that was there, and there were people who were there who worked on Atomic Blonde, so they were all like,
oh, that's cool, yay! I liked the new trailer.
Yeah, I think the trailer is much better. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll just do this at the end. But I wish they would have made it PG-13 because I feel like more people would see it.
See it. Yeah.
But I think they're going for more of a John Wick thing. So
yeah.
But anyway,
that's definitely the feeling.
But I loved the new preview. Okay, so those were.
So now.
Yeah.
More female superhero movies because
I hope so.
Listen,
I hope Patty Jenkins directs everything. I mean, we knew she had it because she's directed a bunch of really good Game of Thrones episodes, so she's got it.
Yeah. Well, that's if you've done that.
Yeah, people were like, she doesn't have any experience. I'm like, what the fuck? Those movies are, those shows are little movies.
We can talk about experience.
Yeah. I know.
Jurassic
World, my God,
what?
You.
Looking at you. All right.
Don't get me started. I will start the rage train and I won't come back.
Tell us what you thought about Wonder Woman. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Do you think it was overhyped? Are we saying that it's too good or something?
I'm sure. The backlash is coming. I'm sure. I'm just going to avoid the internet. That's what they do. All right.
Well, that's it. We liked the movie. Yay! Yay, DC! Good for you guys.
Finally.
We'll see how Justice League goes.
All
Jason
right.
Momoa.
Jason Momoa. Yeah. Okay. All right. Bye. Thank you guys.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.